What's going on, guys? It's AGP, the Big Blue in the Bronx podcast and YouTube channel. Thank you guys for coming back again. If you are new, subscribe to the channel. Also, listen to the podcast on Podbean and all the other platforms, Instagram and Twitter at Big Blue in the Bronx. So, I said I was doing a video today related to the Giants, and I also tagged the Yankees as well, but it doesn't necessarily mean it's going to be about those topics. So let's get right into it. The last couple of days has been full of the Deshaun Watson drama. And the clickbait guys and what Cop Hizzle calls the cleat chasers and all this stuff, basically they've been, chasing for views and chasing for fame. That's the beat writers. But I'm going to talk about fans more specifically in this video. So, we'll get to the Watson part of it because it actually kind of has to deal with it. So, Nick Sirianni, the Eagles head coach, right? He was introduced as the new head coach at his press conference. I think it was yesterday or the day before at some point last week. And what really pisses me off, and I'll get further into this as we go into the video, a lot of Giant fans out there were feeling bad for the Eagles fans because the head coach was being ridiculed by the media for stumbling and mumbling over his words in the press conference. That is not the only part that bothers me. The part that bothers me also is that Giant fans will argue with their own fans. They'll argue with their own fans over stupid topics. They'll block them. They'll do this. They'll do that. But commit treason and agree with Eagle fans and other fans like that. Just so they say, hey, I agree with these guys now. Basically committing treason, if you get what I'm saying. They're ratting out their own fan base because of a difference of opinion. And basically it's, their friends, their followers, whatever. They're basically calling them out based on a difference of opinion. But you're willing to go over to the Eagles fan base and cuddle up with them. Do you not know what a frickin' rivalry is? Why are we feeling bad for the Eagles right now? Why are we feeling bad for their fan base right now? Number one, it's a rivalry, okay? Number two, ultimately, they wouldn't have to hire Nick Sirianni if the Eagles would have won that game and maybe we went to the playoffs. Now, I'm not saying that the Giants not making the playoffs is 100% the Eagles' fault. But let's pull up some examples and you'll see where I'm going. Number one, this ties right into what I just talked about with the Eagles and the Washington football team. So, it was announced that a couple of days before the Giants-Cowboys game, which was obviously the last Sunday, Week 17, that Cop Hizzle was actually going to team up with Philly 500 on a stream that night. Okay? We needed the Eagles to win to go to the playoffs. But what did Philly 500 do? And it is his right. I'm not saying, this, that, and the other thing about Philly 500. Listen, it's his right as an Eagles fan to actually be with his fan base and side with them. He wanted the better pick. He was not rooting for the Eagles. Cop Hizzle was rooting for the Eagles. Philly 500 said, you know what, we need a better pick, and I don't want the Giants to go to the playoffs. That's hella fine with me. Because they are rooting against the Giants, that's fine and well. But they're being fans, and Philly 500 is being a fan, and that's the way rivalries are supposed to work. Number two. This deals with a rivalry, but in a different fashion of football. In 7th grade, and this rivalry still goes on now. I went basically most of my educational career to a school district in northeastern Pennsylvania called Jim Thorpe. Okay? And their rival was this neighboring town called Lehighton. We were in the same county. But their rival was Lehighton. And I heard all about this rivalry, but I didn't know what it was like. So, in 7th grade, I was about 12. I started going to the football games even more and more with a friend of mine who you guys have seen on the live stream, Sean Cacaro, who also writes for me at Uncut Sports News. And Luca was actually a part of the marching band, so he heard, but he never really got a chance to see because he had to stay with the marching band. But that's not the point right now. So we wanted to see what it actually was like. And people were telling us, they're bad, they're white trash, they're this, that, and the other thing. So their stadium was dirty as hell. It was a mud pit. It's like you're going to see monster trucks. Their field was terrible, so much that I think the next year or the year after they had to get a new field and a new stadium and remodel it. But we walked around the field a couple of times. What happened? Lee Heighton, and their name is the Indians, I'm pretty sure. They were holding signs up, and the high school football team's head coach and the high school's vice principal's name is Mark Rosenberger. Okay? And people were making fun of him, and I saw one of the signs that said, "Do you want some fries with your Rosenberger?" Basically making fun of Jim Thorpe, making fun of the principal, whatever. That is a rivalry. The next year, and obviously we lost that game, we got blown out. It's called, I think, the 209 trophy or something like that. I don't know. So the next year, they come to us. They come to our stadium. And I was in 8th grade at the time. What happens is that nothing happened. Obviously there was crap talk and smack and trash talk and whatever. Same as it usually is. Okay? So what happens is a group of these Lee Heighton guys, girls too, come over to our side. And they bring a sign that says political stuff and basically that we were Democrats or something like that. I can't remember to the fullest extent, nor I'm going to go into a political topic. So our fan base reacts, and we had like a fan section of high school girls and guys, and we also had a section of, actually in that same section, we had some 7th graders, some 8th graders, basically fans of the football team. The way they reacted, regardless of the political topic, whether you agreed with, obviously this was the year of the 2016 election, so obviously you see where this is going. So, regardless of what the sign said, they came over into our territory. And what did the fans do? I will sort of defend them on this, because it's a rivalry. They took their food. They started chucking it at them. They started throwing candy. They started throwing a plate of pizza my friend threw at them. Someone threw a cup of soda. It was really messy. And I'm not engaging and encouraging violence here. But that is what a rivalry is supposed to look like. So much that the teacher's saying, stop, it's not Jim Thorpe way, blah, blah, blah. And the superintendent even came over. So unfortunately, the next year, at least unfortunately my part, because I like the rivalry, I like the thing. It's kind of like Yankees-Red Sox, except Yankees-Red Sox is better and it's more professional. So the next year, the state troopers are at the games now because of what happened. And basically, since then, nothing has been made of the rivalry. I mean, obviously, it's been losing games, winning games, losing games, winning games in between the two. And there's no fan interaction whatsoever. Nobody has been fighting or throwing food at each other. Basically, the rivalry in terms of fan bases has calmed down. That's at least what I'm getting. So, skip into the third topic, which kind of relates. So, I moved to New York, back to Brooklyn, my hometown, and I go and still enrolled in this school called New Utrecht High School. And our rival is James Madison High School, which I believe is in Midwood, Brooklyn, if some of you know where that is. So, obviously, two teams hate each other. And, ironically, before the pandemic hit, and this was last year, those two teams played each other at Abraham Lincoln Field, which was a neutral site. This wasn't at James Madison. It wasn't at New Utrecht. So James Madison ultimately won the championship. And the James Madison kids were ultimately being snobby and all this. I wasn't there. I was being told what happened. And the cheerleaders, they were burning our cheerleaders. They were burning the James Madison shirts. I think their cheerleaders were burning our shirts. Something like that. They were basically tearing up apparel of the opposite fan base. So that's a rivalry. Now I'm going to go into agreeing and disagreeing, and when it comes to having fun as a fan. So, I told Cop Pizzle this because we've been talking, lately ever since the clickbait has come out. So, on Friday night, after I went to a wake, I decided, you know what, I'm going to go on Let's Talk Jets Radio and see what these guys have to say about this Deshaun Watson clickbait, despite it being, Jets, Giants, and that stuff. So I go on, I basically make a joke, okay? I basically make a joke about the co-host cooking because, in my opinion, it's really bad, but that's a joking manner. So I didn't put my camera on only because, and I'm not making excuses here, I didn't put my camera on because my camera was lagging and the integrated camera, which is the camera inside the computer, was lagging. So I had no camera on, I just, had my voice. So I basically make the joke, and the two guys essentially throw me off the stream. And I was pissed off because, despite them being Jets fans, they were entertaining. And something I didn't know, and I told my brother to stop a couple times, and as I said, I was pissed off. He texted them because, he texts them on occasion to talk about clickbait and the media, because they both hate the media, and they call them out. So my brother texted the co-host, Tyson Roush, and he said, listen, my brother wasn't trying to be a troll. I thought it was really disrespectful as your number one fan that you guys threw off my brother last night. He wasn't meant to troll you. He was actually going to talk about unbiased football with you guys. It's just a shame that you guys threw him off. So, in the morning, before I had to go to a funeral, Tyson texts him back and says, you know what, I'm sorry, man. I didn't know. We usually get a lot of trolls for the past couple of years, and I'm sorry again. So a couple hours later, this was obviously late at nighttime, and you can check the stream for proof. And obviously, as I said, I told Cop Pizzle this, and he's like, yeah, some people are really thin-skinned. And later that night, my brother goes on, and Tyson's on there, but the guy named Primetime, who's Kevin Sorkin on Twitter, you guys go follow him, he is the only one on Tyson being that guy. So he brings on Luca via StreamYard and says, this guy's really going to roast me right now because I threw off his brother and I thought he was clowning and I thought he was trolling. So Luca has me come on side him. And we actually don't talk that much about what happened the previous night. We talk about, Chris Carlin, because again, we're sharing the same thing as a topic. We're sharing the fact that we don't like Chris Carlin, we think he's clickbait, and all these reporters and these media pundits, they don't have a freaking personality. They're not as creative as YouTube content creators. That's just a known fact. I'm sorry for you guys if you guys actually don't believe that, but that's what I feel. Listening to content creators, watching content creators over the years, whether it be Ron Effect, Cop Pizzle, Let's Talk Jets Radio, Entertainer, all those guys. I'm not sucking them off. I'm just using some prime examples. And we're talking about, this guy's a fraud. We're talking about Daniel Jones as well and the fan base as well. Meanwhile, in a fun format, the comment section is ripping me to shreds because I'm a Giants fan. After I got off the stream with my brother, they were still ripping me to shreds. They were saying, Jets fans are better, Jets fans are more invested, Giants fans are garbage. And I said to the one guy, I said, thank you for Leonard Williams. That trade really worked out for the Jets, didn't it? And the one guy replies to me, he goes, well, Leonard Williams was a bum with the Giants. But nonetheless, it's not my point right now. So, the conclusion I draw from that is that, despite me and Tyson having a tough road on Friday. He apologized to me on Saturday, and we had an unbiased talk. But, with the shit-talking Jets fans, they still tore me to shreds despite the fact that I was on the guy's stream. They didn't say, oh, this guy's making sense. I mean, a couple of them said, Carlin's a fraud, this, that, and the other thing. But there were a load of people ripping me up. In usual Jets fashion because we're crosstown rivals. So my point to take from these 4 examples is, have fun with a rivalry. Have fun in sports. If you're complaining about, our quarterback's not good, because I've seen this, a couple of times where this guy was ripping the Giants, and he's a Giants fan no less. He was ripping the Giants and basically saying, oh, you guys we are at the top of the division. Meanwhile, our quarterback is trash. Dude, appreciate the crap you get. If you don't want to appreciate it, go be a Jets fan. I mean, they're in a better position now. Go be a Texans fan. Imagine the trouble they're feeling right now. The Giants are on their way up. They need a wide receiver, corner, linebacker, possibly edge away from competing with serious teams. The Texans, they are immersed in a full rebuild right now and will probably end up trading their star quarterback and their star defensive end for picks. So, if you want to complain about, your team to a malicious extent, go be a Texans fan. And don't even root on your team if they cause you so much hell and trouble year after year. I'm excited for Giants football every year. I really am. Whether they go 6-10, 4-12, even during the Pat Shurmur era, when I predicted that the Giants were not going to be a good team, I said, you know what? Football Sunday, I'm excited to watch the Giants. Even though I would get pissed off, 12 times that year. 12 weeks, to be specific. And you would really miss that team on the bye weeks, because it's watching football, it's watching your team. So the whole point of this video, and this could obviously go to and, mean for opposite fan bases as well when it comes to your fan base on Twitter. Listen, you can agree with the other fan bases. I agreed with the Jets fans because of how fraud the New York media can be, like Chris Carlin and all the daily news. But that didn't stop each other, meaning me and the Jets fans, from trash talking. That's a rivalry. I didn't sit there and sit down and say, you guys might get Watson. You guys will be better than the Giants. I did not say that. I didn't wuss down. I grew a set and said, hey, thank you for Leonard Williams, guys. So you know what? As a proper lesson, for not just Giants fans, Eagle fans, everybody, stick to your own team. And you can rip your fan base. I've done that a couple of times, including some content creators or whatever. But that doesn't mean you wuss down in a rivalry or when you're talking to a rival. It doesn't mean that. Because if you're going to sit there and agree, Sirianni's, unfairly treated by the media. Eagle fans really don't care what you think, Giants fans. Because guess what? Before this year, they were talking about the streak they had on us ever since the last time we won against them. They keep talking about how they eliminated us from the playoffs. So don't be sitting there. Don't be taking it and agreeing while they're trash talking us. Why don't you trash talk back? That's being a fan. That's being a fun fan. That's having fun in sports. Guys, thank you for watching this video. Despite where you come from, if you're a Chiefs fan or whatever, I will be streaming at some point next weekend for the pre-Super Bowl talk with probably CJ and Nick once again. It will be done via StreamYard on YouTube because of sportscasters shutting down and being malicious frauds. Can't believe some people intern there, which doesn't make a lot of sense. New podcast episode. I will be recording it tomorrow, even though it will come out on Tuesday. And obviously the Yankee topics as well. Thank you guys for supporting. Hit that subscribe button. I'll probably do live streams a little more so I can interact with some other fan bases as well during the NFL offseason. Thank you guys. Follow the Twitter and Instagram at Big Blue in the Bronx. And we'll see you on Tuesday.